This is Kevin again with Level 10 Innovations. I want to introduce a new product that we have that's going to have to deal with the crankshaft and in particular the carrier cap and the screw that retains and holds this carrier cap on, making this basically one piece. As we all know, those of you who have a 1050, that we have a bearing that rests here and a bearing that rests here. And that's what allows this crankshaft to articulate, to maneuver. As you can see, this shaft is a little out of spec. It's got a wore out spot here. Basically ruins bearings. So make sure you lube your bearings. And the product we want to introduce is going to replace this. We're going to replace this screw. We've had these screws where the head's popped off, to where with the natural torque as you're cycling your press, it moves this, and with that pressure within inside that bearing, it starts to just do like a little slight movement. I mean, it's minute. This is way more than what it actually does. Just over time, with each cycle of the press, it begins to apply torque. Since this screw is tightened against this carrier cap so tight, it basically becomes one. But there's nothing that's actually keeping this bolt from spinning out. With that little bit of pressure and torque, comes out. And we like something a little bit better than thread lock liquid that even over time could possibly and has broken loose inside this. And we don't feel like using any type of permanent red thread locker or anything that is similar to that. So the product we like to offer and introduce incorporates a little bit longer bolt. And this is a shaft collar clamp that is actually tapped and threaded to the 1¼ by 20. And this is a thrust bearing kit. And some of you are wondering how in the world or what's going on with this. What is Level 10 Innovations thinking with this? I'd like to show you how this is installed. And before I do that, the point of this is that this screw is going to come in and it's going to wedge and it's going to stop, and you're going to tighten that to where it's wedged, and that's going to have that static pressure because this hole is only tapped up to about where the key stock goes, a little bit closer to the end, about in this area. So this is going to wedge, and then we're going to use the bearing kit, and what the bearing kit's going to do is going to absorb any type of movement whatsoever. But we still want this thing tight. We want this thing to be pretty much solid. We don't want this thing to move. But if there were ever any kind of vibrations, any movement in the bearing, if the bearing somehow seized or grabbed onto this carrier cap, somehow something's going wrong, or just the natural vibrations of the cycling of the press, that even if it were to move, there is no way that it would be able to transfer that torque to the head of the screw or even to the shaft of the screw to back it out and loosen it. And I'd like to show you that now. Let's go ahead and go on over and install this thing. So here we are at the base of our press. We removed the plastic bin that likes to get in the way. Can't see this if the screw is loosening or not, unless you actually remove the bin or look around the back side of the press. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and take our kit that you get just like this, and make sure this collar is all the way back. Make sure you have a thrust washer, a thrust bearing, and another thrust washer. Go ahead and drop maybe 1 or 2 dabs of oil on that bearing. Does not need to be greased, because we don't expect this bearing to have to move at all. But just in case, that is what it's there for, is to be a fail-safe. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed. Go ahead and take your 3/16 Allen. So you come up to where this screw is starting to bottom out. What we want you to do is you need to wedge this. What you're going to do is you're going to cause some static pressure to hold that, and you tighten that up snug. Then you back it out, quarter of a turn. Take your shaft collar clamp that has been threaded and come up and just touch. We're going to take our 3/32 Allen and we're just going to snug this up to those threads. Now you're going to return up to here and you're going to gain back that 1/4 inch turn that wedges into that system, into that crankshaft. And you're tight. Cycle it, you're good. So let's go ahead and demonstrate this. I'm coming here, I'm going to lock onto that. I'm going to try to spin it, and it's hard to spin. I got a lot of pressure on here, as you can see. I am barely moving it. There's a lot of torque I got on here, but even with that pressure, only the carrier cap is moving. Our bolt and our whole system is retaining its position. Once again, this is the carrier cap retaining system or kit by Level 10 Innovations. We appreciate you watching.